empresas farmacéuticas de Alemania, que a partir de ahora serán una sola.
Bien. ¿Estamos listos?
Blanc lo ha conseguido.
Bien. Ha hecho un gran trabajo. Por eso le he pedido que viniera hoy. Quiero otra fusión. Ayúdeme.
La reunión se alargó. Lo siento.
Usted ha ganado, Blanc. Y yo he perdido.
¿Puedes decirme dónde demonios estoy, por favor?
¿Qué andabas buscando en el bosque?
Me atrae la naturaleza. El bosque me tranquiliza.
Well, I think we have to start off where the character starts off, which is he's a very, very powerful lawyer, business lawyer. So he's very used to, dealing with big sums of money, having a lot of power in his hands, and he's got it all. He's got, he's got the girl, he's got a great car, he's got a great apartment. He made it, Like, if you look at society, there's certain things and certain ways how we measure success, And in our society, we don't measure success by happiness, which would be a good way to measure success, but we measure it by things. We measure it by, money, basically. So throughout this way, if you are very successful in this field or in this line of work, I think you have to become a little bit, you have to lose your empathy to a degree, because you only become successful if you are very much concerned with yourself. So when you're very much concerned with yourself, you're not too concerned about others. If you do that for 20 years or 15 or whatever, you start to become an asshole to a degree. So yeah, we talk about this guy who lost his empathy, who lives for success and who doesn't really have any other goals in life. And obviously, that's not going to work out. There's going to be a certain point in life where you realize that actually all you have is money, which is pretty poor at the end, if that's all you have. So then this guy, Flori, in the movie, shoots himself, and he finds himself responsible for that, at least to a degree. And he starts thinking about it. He starts thinking about himself and his life and all that, and then he runs into this girl, meets this girl, who represents everything that he doesn't know and he doesn't care about. She's a, free spirit. She doesn't care about what she's going to do in the afternoon. She has no plans. She likes drugs. So he finds it very interesting. And then he, tries these mushrooms with her in the woods, and it all goes wrong. Some chemicals in his mind twist, and he starts losing the control of his emotions, and he starts to become savage. Well, not really. I think it's both him, and that's the problem about it, is the complexity about it, which is basically something that we all share. We all have these sides. It's just a question whether you want to think of it as bad and good, or whether you want to think of it as being able to deal and control your emotions, or not being able to do that, which is basically what we based our whole society on. Our whole society only works because we have come up with certain rules and regulations amongst ourselves that work. So we have to be polite, we have to be nice, we have to follow certain rules in order to live in this society. You can't just go out and take what you want. You can't just go out and scream at people. It's not going to work out. You need certain brains to do certain things. If you want to be successful, you have to take certain steps, and those steps are either within your possibility, within your reach, or not. And that obviously is going to make a lot of people very sad, because our world has become more and more complex. These rules and regulations have become more and more complex. So I'm sure that, if you look at it in a metaphoric way, what does Urs do? He goes back to the woods. He becomes a wolf, And I'm sure that this is something that we're going to experience, and we already are experiencing that. Because if you take away their means to work and function in society, they eventually might become wolves, And if you see some crazy idiot fucking blowing himself up in Manchester or wherever it happens, this is exactly what happens. He just became a wolf, He lost his ways. He doesn't have the skills and means and tools he needs to be successful in this world. He finds out by the time he's 17, 18, he doesn't have all that. He doesn't have the looks, he doesn't have the brains, he doesn't have the education, he doesn't have the background. He's not going to make it. But there is a way of making an impact. It's going back to where we all come from, become a wolf. And I think this is a phenomenon that we're going to see more and more. People are more and more going to be completely overwhelmed by what society wants from you. And it's going to be bad because, you know, if like everything is so sophisticated today. If you open up a motor from a car that's 20 years old, you know, oh, okay, this is, it's a tank, Anlasser, here's this, Zündkerzen, say it in German because I don't know the English words, but you have a basic understanding of how this thing works, this motor. Now open up from a modern day car, you're just going to look inside and say, I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know nothing about it. And that's the big problem. It's going to be very difficult to function in this society for people who are not very blessed by their parents, by God, because they're smart and all that. And 20 years ago, if you weren't the brightest person on the planet, but you had skills with your hands, you could still, have a great career because you become a carpenter or whatever. These possibilities get, smaller and smaller and smaller, and yet there's more and more and more people. So that's going to be a big problem. It's going to be very hard to fulfill these expectations that society has in the future. You could use that term. I prefer the wolf because, if you think about there's an expression, or there's a definition of the old man. I don't know if you know anything about it. It's basically pre-Bible, pre-religious thoughts of mankind where you had a time where people didn't even consider harming another human being as bad. They didn't consider killing someone else as bad. That was just what you would do, like have a problem with this guy, you kill him. Only religion was the very point where people started to think it over and say it's actually bad to kill someone else or to put harm on someone else. That's a very, actually it's not, that thought is not so old. So it's not so much about being a monster, but it's about how to control your emotions. It's basically it's the only thing. When you look at kids, what's the difference between a kid and an adult? They don't know how to control their emotions. They don't know. If they feel bad, they scream. If they feel sad, they cry. If we would behave like that in modern day society, everybody would think we're crazy. But it's just that we lost the possibility of controlling our emotions. That's what happens to him. He just can't control it anymore, like a kid. Like you have two kids on the schoolyard fighting, you let them fight for 5 minutes, it's a game. But after 6 minutes, it's going to become serious, because they cannot. There's this level where you cannot control your very action anymore. And that's exactly what happens to him. Well, who knows? Maybe there is not even another side to the moon. That's the funny thing about it, right? Because we don't know what could be there, and it's only our thought on what might be there that makes it interesting. No, I've never understood why anybody flies up there, man. I think we have so many problems on this planet Earth. I don't want to go to Mars. The fuck is wrong with you people, man? Going to Mars? Are you crazy? This is the most beautiful planet that I've ever seen in my life. I've never been to another one, but I doubt that there's many others that look as beautiful as ours. So, no, I've never understood anyone who wants to go to the moon, wants to go to the Mars. I think we have so many unanswered questions on our planet Earth, and it's so beautiful here. I don't want to think about moving to Mars. No, and I don't understand anybody who does. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, of course, Almodovar, there's Spanish cinema has like European cinema in general. It's just it's a great progression actually, and the only thing that I hope, and I've been hoping this for years, is that it gets even more, it comes together even more, But yeah, it's a very very strong and alive cinema. Love it.
Hoy emprenderéis un viaje al que los aztecas llamaban el camino hacia el conocimiento.
No estoy bien, Lucy.
Lo siento, ¿qué tienes exactamente?
¡Listo!
Enseguida pierdo el control. Hago cosas que antes nunca había hecho.
Las setas solo sacan lo que ya hay dentro de mí.